In this video, we're looking at why Stinky Pete was never chosen by a child and why he ended up being rejected for so long.
Spending a lifetime on a dime store shelf watching every other toy be sold. Well, finally my waiting is paid off, and no hand-me-down cowboy doll is gonna mess it up for me now!
When you break his story down, his resentment isn't just random bitterness or a bad attitude for no reason. It comes from a deeper place, because he's basically the result of emotional abandonment mixed with the harsh reality of how toys are treated in the Toy Story world. He was already working against two major problems: his character design and the timing of his era. Among the Woody's Roundup characters, he was the least naturally appealing to kids. Woody was the heroic, charismatic leader. Jessie had the energy, personality, and adventurous spirit that made her easy to love. Bullseye had the loyal, lovable animal charm that usually wins kids over right away. Stinky Pete, on the other hand, was the clumsy old prospector, the comic relief of the group, and the one most likely to be treated like a joke rather than a favorite.
Does anyone see my picture?
That matters a lot because kids usually go for toys that feel exciting, cool, or emotionally easy to connect with. A brave hero, a fun sidekick, or a cute animal is an easy sell, but an old miner in overalls, especially one written more as a punchline than a dream character, is much harder to make stand out on a shelf. So even before you get into the story's later tragedy, Stinky Pete was already the toy with the weakest first impression. Then there's the historical timing. Woody's Roundup is framed as a 1950s show, and the movie connects its decline to the rise of space toys after Sputnik.
Once the astronauts went up, children only wanted to play with space toys.
That shift is important because it shows how fast children's interests changed once the space age took over pop culture. The Western style that made Woody's show popular suddenly stopped feeling fresh, while space-themed toys became the new big thing. So even though the show had been successful, the moment the trend changed, the whole line lost momentum. That's where the tragedy really starts to build. Woody, Bullseye, and Jessie had the advantage of being the kinds of characters that could still sell while the show was popular. Stinky Pete didn't have that same advantage because he was the least desirable figure in the lineup from the start. Once the audience moved on, there was even less reason for kids to pick him over the others. The movie makes it clear that the cancellation hit the whole brand hard, and Pete's bitterness grows out of being the toy left behind when the world stopped caring about westerns. A toy's whole purpose is to be played with, to belong to a kid, and to be loved, but Stinky Pete never had that experience. He spent all his existence trapped inside a cardboard and plastic shell, unable to move around or explore the world around him. Day after day, year after year, he had a front row seat to something he never got to enjoy himself, watching other toys get picked, taken home, and loved by children. That kind of life would wear down anyone, and for a toy, it cuts even deeper because playtime is the whole point of being alive in the first place. That's a huge part of why he became so bitter. He didn't just feel ignored. He felt denied of the one thing that gives a toy meaning. Because he never got even a single moment of real play, he was robbed of the basic experience that defines a toy's existence. Over time, that rejection turned into anger, and that anger shaped the way he looked at space rangers and children. Instead of accepting that he might simply have been unlucky or not especially appealing, he built a darker explanation for what had happened to him. In his mind, kids were the problem. He convinced himself that children would eventually abandon you once they grew up, and that they were only going to use and then throw toys away when they were done with them. That's why he starts treating them almost like monsters instead of the people toys are supposed to bond with. It's not that he genuinely understands children that way from the start, it's more that he can't cope with the fact that he wasn't chosen, so he turns that pain into a belief that it was all inevitable anyway. That mindset makes him feel less like a simple villain and more like a toy who completely gave up on the idea of being loved. Because he couldn't accept being unwanted, he looked for a different kind of value. He wanted something more permanent, something that would outlast being played with and then forgotten. That's why the idea of going to the Tokyo Museum mattered so much to him.
It's your choice, Woody. You can go back, or you can stay with us and last forever. You'll be adored by children for generations.
For Pete, being preserved behind glass was a way to become untouchable and respected forever, even if that respect came from being displayed instead of being loved in the normal way. In his eyes, if he couldn't be chosen by a child, then at least he could be protected as a rare piece of history. That was his plan, to secure permanent status, stay in perfect condition, and never be rejected again. He was willing to do anything to make that happen. But in the end, the plan failed. He never made it to Japan after Woody and the others stopped him. Instead, he ended up in the backpack of a little girl named Amy. From that point on, it's not fully clear how he adjusted to his new owner, but at least he finally ended up with someone, even if that happened against his will.